I'm going to introduce the Constitution Party candidate for U.S. Senate, Rob Taylor. Rob is a software engineer from Cumberland, Wisconsin, and I'm sure that he's pretty much on the same page with the rest of us in this room.
Yeah, he said talk fast and use big words, so here we go. And I apologize for my notes here today, but they took away my memory treatment from my government-run health plan, so I have to have a little bit of help here, you know? Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here today. It's people like you that actually get this country back into shape. You have awakened. You're here today. You're listening to the people, and you're doing something about it. I am very honored and humbled to be here in your presence, so thank you very much. I think you ought to, you owe yourself a hand, okay? Is it time for a Constitution revolution? Yeah. The culture of corruption is now the most single destructive factor in our government, and it does not distinguish between the parties. We have seen over the past few decades that our elected officials have been turning their backs on God, trampling on the Constitution, and not listening to we the people. It is obvious that our deceitful representatives are trying to grab more power and control than ever before in history. Our country is being run by gangsters of the so-called political elite and the special interest groups. The bribes, blackmails, deeming bills passed. Let's deem we pay our bills. How's that go, huh? We've seen unprecedented contempt for the American people and their laws, the likes that we have never seen before. So where has this gotten us? As a result, we have record earmarks in our bills. We have a judicial system that has drifted away from the common law of man, or God, and become laws of man. Our auto, financial industries are now government-run and used as pawns for political favors. Our borders, national sovereignty is under attack, and our standing in the world is despised as we are headed toward a socialistic third world country. We do not even make our own bullets or military electronics anymore. How bad is that? We have treaties with the UN that threaten our food, farmlands, our waterways, and our unborn, all for the New World Order. Our property rights are being trampled on as we endure more bans and restrictions, and as well as higher property taxes, where we can't even plan to prosper or retire anymore. And the American family itself is a target for breakup because, believe it or not, there is more revenue in that to the government and the professionals that lobby our courts. And lastly, $16 trillion plus of debt looms over all of our heads, all for the power and greed, which will be stolen from the future of our children and our country. I don't know about you guys, but I do not remember giving my representatives permission to do this. And I know that I've been telling and asking our representatives only to be answered by silence, form letters, insults, and threats. And now we're finding that we have a bill being passed in Congress that if we the people practice our First and Second Amendments, we stand being labeled a traitor and a possible terrorist and put into the many FEMA camps that are being built. They're doing this against our consent and a clear violation of our supreme law, the U.S. Constitution. Our representatives are laughing at us, for the American that they envision is not what our forefathers meant for it to be, nor fought for it to be. So what do? What do we do about this? Well, in communities all across America, people are waking up, and you can hear the thunder. The American people are saying that we've had enough and we're taking our republic back. A constitution revolution is needed, and it cannot wait to reform either party. It must be done by aware American citizens now, and done with the fever, knowledge, and enthusiasm of the founding fathers when they broke with the traditional government system of the time, because they faced the same tyranny as we do today. We the people have to light the fires of liberty and learn that the Constitution is the geometry of law. For if you do not know how to enforce your rights, you don't have any. I see this Constitution revolution rising and inspiring we the American people, and we will learn the triumph over evil and take back our country, where the citizens of the United States are the employers of these representatives and bureaucrats, for they have long forgotten who they work for. Where all federal bills the Congress debates are tied to the Constitution, bills that are read and bills that are transparent to the American citizen, not hidden in some 1,500-page manuscript. I see this revolution rising where the federal government will be limited to protecting life and property and not providing it in the form of bailout or welfare. We see this revolution that we've had enough, and we're going to repeal the 16th Amendment, for we do not need to finance our federal government with our income. And we definitely don't need 16,000 plus IRS agents coming to our door. This revolution will see the federal spending limited to about 20% of the gross domestic product, and the size of the federal government will be reduced by 20% or more. Think of all the money that can stay here in Wisconsin for our needs. We will abolish the Federal Reserve Act, for we the people are tired of the government stealing through inflation and counterfeiting through the illegal printing of money. We will be able to reestablish and put the balance back in our government the way it was intended to, by fully ensuring the 10th Amendment and states' rights and abolishing the 17th Amendment, thus giving the senators back to the states. We have to have the balance. We will get Washington out of our schools and dismantle the Federal Department of Education. We will leave the education of our precious young ones to the states and the parents who will teach American values and history, something that we don't see anymore. We will use common sense efforts in defining environmental regulations to set industrial policy and not diminish the nation's standard of living, as they are trying to do with the cap and trade. These efforts will ensure access to energy that belongs to Americans, that will allow us to be independent and prosperous, and not be at the whims of some foreign nation. To keep flourishing, our businesses and family farms, which are the backbone of the future of America, must not be hindered with taxes or regulations. Regulations that only benefit large corporations or large corporate farms that contribute to the political machine. You know, there is no job an American is not willing to do. Ask anybody out there who's out of work that needs to feed their family. Our Constitution revolution will protect these jobs, our citizens, and our way of life, and not turn it over to the people who come into this country illegally that demanding free health care, tuition, and housing when some of our own people are suffering. Oh, wait, it's going to get better. To guarantee this, we will secure and protect our borders, and we're going to use our technology to round up and evict these illegals, immigrants, and we will outlaw the anchor baby tactics with absolute zero tolerance. And while we're at it, let's make English the American language. We will become knowledgeable in our laws to ensure the Fourth Amendment rights are not infringed upon, that FEMA, Interpol, the writ of habeas corpus, the Northern Command, and the Cybersecurity Act will be heavily regulated by we the people. The right to privacy and property cannot be suspended. And we must understand and appreciate the purpose of the Second Amendment. Our founding fathers knew from history and firsthand experience the necessity of that amendment and the duties that it implies. As we go on, we will ensure that our foreign policies are made for the purpose of preserving and improving America and not benefiting the UN and the New World Order. In fact, we should start off by getting the UN building off American soil. Our revolution will ensure that all future wars that we fight be defensive, clearly defined, and constitutional. We will ensure that our domestic liberties are protected with a strong security, including missile defense. And with the conflicts that we're currently in, we will give the troops the support they need to win, to get the job done, and to get home. And once home, we will give them the finest care possible. We will bring back Wisconsin jobs from overseas. We will regain the respect for America and her people in the world theater. And we will put pride back in America. So how do we do this? How do we do this? The Constitution of the United States is an inherited protectionist document, namely that it defends the American citizen and her way of life. But it is not self-enforcing, nor is it self-defending. We, the people, must now begin to enforce and defend the Constitution of the United States. We must now start exercising this duty of this government, of the people, by the people, and for the people. We shall tell the universe this is who we are, and this is who we're going to be. We will not be dictated to. We must elect new founders of the Constitution Revolution with a mandate to defend and enforce our supreme law, first and foremost, and then go about the work of repealing the many laws and federal agencies crippling our economy, enslaving our middle class, and sending the means to which to make a living to foreign countries, mainly our jobs. One of the basic ways, of course, is to vote. And we have to make sure that our candidates know what the Constitution is and can live up to it. But there is one defender. There is one candidate that you need to pay special attention to. I wish I could say it was me, but it's not. All law enforcement officers from the FBI down to the local meter maids derive their power from the people. The only law enforcement officer in the land who answers directly to you, the people, are our county sheriffs. They are the ones who have the legal authority to form militia and posses. They have the legal means to head off intrusion by federal agencies, and they are the true enforcers of common law. Make sure that when you elect these people, they know what their job is and that they can fulfill that job, for they are our first line of defense. And to further ensure that any of these candidates do not become corrupt, there's a couple pieces of legislation that we ought to take a look at. One is bring the politicians home. This is a movement that will relocate U.S. representatives to our local districts and the United States senators to our state capitals. Article 1, Section 4, Article 1, Section 5 allows for relocation of Congress without the need for a congressional amendment. The idea has been around since 1991 as a security upgrade. Think how accountable our representatives will be around us, their people, and not the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. And number two, there are many ideas in the Articles of Freedom from the Congressional Congress of 2009 that we should look at implementing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to enforce the Constitution. Another way that we have is the jury box, where we can deal with people and their representatives who violate our Constitution. But we must become responsible in obtaining the knowledge to move the courts, thus making judges abide by the common law of God and the law that we live by. Everyday citizens of yesteryear knew the basic rule of law and when it needed defending. We can too. And only if the above-mentioned means does not work do we look to the Second Amendment. I never hope to use it, but I have taken the oath 3 times in my life to defend and support and protect the Constitution of the United States, and I will be one of the first ones out there. We will self-govern as our founding fathers intended us to be, and they intended for the government to fear the people because it's called freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our time to take back our rights. It's our duty to defend the Constitution. It's our destiny to live in a free republic. Thank you, and God bless America.